Hey guys, Joey here. Today we're going to discuss about the CSS Box Model. And along with that, we're going to discuss about these topics over here, starting with the box model diagram and then padding, then border, then margin. And look at here, look at this, the box sizing. This is the main source of our project. We're going to discuss in details about this one, and then we're going to also discuss about the shorthands of the padding and the margin property. So the project will go like this. First of all, we're going to discuss about the theory, and then we're going to look at some practical examples, and then we're going to start coding on either VS Code or CodePen. But the first question is, what is a CSS box model and why should you even learn it? If you want to make pixel perfect website with high accuracy, then this topic is for you. You should definitely learn it. So here's an example of what I mean. Look at these two projects over here. On the first one, you can see that this is a nav bar over here. We have no gaps in between. But over here, you can see that we have gaps between the menu items. So this gap property is called the padding property, okay? Now you can see over here that we have no padding over here. And look at this content and the button over here. No gap, no padding at all. But look at this over here. We have some gaps between the buttons, some gaps between the content over here. And look, we have a little bit of margin over here. This is called the margin, okay? Little bit of margin over here, but look, there is no margin over here. So the padding and the margin are the two properties of the box model. We can clearly say that the right one looks much better than the left one over here. This is Figma, by the way, but don't worry, we're going to write code on CodePen. Okay, now I'm going to select this and then I'm going to turn on the layout grid over here. And now you can see that we have some grids over here and you can see some white space over here. This is the margin. Okay, let me actually show you the layout grid over here. You can see that we have 5 columns and this is the margin. The margin is 50 pixels over here. And that's why it looks quite good. And the margin is also the property of the box model. Okay, now let me show that to you again. Okay, so this is the nav bar that I took from this website over here. Wait a minute, this one over here. Okay, this is the zoomed in version of the website. Okay, so now I'm gonna come over here and you can see that this is the logo that we have, and then this is the menu items. Look, there is no padding in between, but here we have added padding. The padding is also the property of the box model. Okay, and this one looks much better than this one over here. Okay, now look at this over here, the content section. Here we have no padding at all, but over here we have padding. Let me actually show you how much padding do we have. Okay, I'm gonna select this and you can see that in between over here we have 28.44 pixels of padding. And if we inspect the buttons over here, then you can see that we have a padding of 36.77 pixels. And over here we have nothing. Okay, now let's come back to the nav bar and let's inspect how much padding do we have between those nav items. Okay, if I select this, then you can see that we have 34.93 pixels of padding between these nav items over here. This entire video is filled with examples, so don't worry, we're going to look at more examples along the video. By the way, I wrote an entire article on the topic that we're going to discuss today. If you scroll down, then you can see the table of contents over here. Let's say you want to revise the padding property. Okay, you're going to click over here and then you're going to jump to this section over here. And if you scroll down, you can see some examples over here, some examples over here as well. And if you scroll down, then you can see the shorthand property with more explanations, and then we also have some animations over here so that you can better understand how the system works. If you scroll down, then you can see the source code over here along with the result so that you can practice on your own. Link of this article will be given in the description down below. Go and check it out. If you are new to the channel, feel free to subscribe because I post videos based on practical web dev projects so that you can level up your coding skills. If that sounds interesting, hit the subscribe button and join my gang. And without further ado, let's get started. Alright boys and girls, before coding, first of all you need to set up our environment. Pick any code editor you want, but for this tutorial I'm going to use codepen.io because it has a very simple interface. Okay, so you come to the HTML section over here and you're going to write .box1, okay, tab, and inside over here you're going to write box1 like this and Ctrl S, and you're going to see this text over here. Now look at this, we have some gap over here. Okay, from today and onwards, always remember this in your mind that every HTML element behaves like a box. What? Every HTML element behaves like a box. Which box? Every element follows the box model, the CSS box model. Even if it's a circle, it still behaves like a box. Okay, don't worry, I'm going to show that to you. So we're done with the HTML section. You're going to pull the CSS over here and you're going to write star curly braces over here. Okay, so we have this gap over here. If you want to remove the gap, by the way, this is called the default styles of the browser. If you want to remove that, what you're gonna do is you're gonna write m0px tab, which is margin 0 pixels. Okay, and now you can see that we don't have that gap. That was the margin. Okay, and you're gonna remove the padding like this. Okay, Control S, and we're done. This is called the universal selector, if you didn't knew this earlier. Okay, and now we're gonna select the box. Okay, dot box 1. Okay, and then we're gonna select a width for this box like this, w 300 pixels. Okay, for this tutorial it's 300 pixels. Okay, and now we're gonna set some background color over here as well. Let's say that sky blue. Okay, sky blue. Control S, and if you want to see the text even better, then what you're gonna do is you're gonna write size for this font. Okay, size, okay, 50 pixels. There we go, and set the font family to sans serif, FF tab, and then SS tab like this. There we go, and there we go. We're done with our setup. Let's start discussing the CSS box model. So first of all, we're gonna discuss about the box model diagram. Okay, now before starting a discussion regarding the box model, remember this, that the box model behaves like an onion. This onion has 4 layers. The first layer is the content layer. The next layer is the padding layer. Then the border, margin. How many layers? 4 layers. We're gonna look at them in details right now. So the first layer, we have the content over here. This is the first layer of the box model. And then we have the padding. You can see that the content is getting wrapped around by the padding. Okay, so this is the content over here. This is the text, and this is our little kitty over here, and then you can see that this is getting enclosed by the padding over here. Okay, and now this is the third layer of our onion, our box model. Okay, first layer is the content, second layer is the padding, the third layer is the border. You can see this dashed line over here, the dashed thin line. This thin line is the border. Okay, this is the third layer. First layer, second layer, third layer, and let me actually show you the last layer, which is the margin layer. Okay, so this is the margin over here. So first layer, second layer, this little thin line over here is the third layer, and this one, the margin, is the fourth layer. So this is the box model diagram. I hope you understood this. So now what you're gonna do is you're gonna click this small icon over here. Okay, it is written open live view in a new window. Okay, click this, and now you're gonna see this getting opened in a new window. What you're gonna do is you're gonna hit F12, the developer console. Okay, and now follow along with me. Okay, so what I have done is I have actually enlarged it like this. Look, like this. Okay, you're gonna click over here and then drag it at the very top. Okay, what you're gonna do you see this computed section over here? You're gonna click this, and now look at this box over here. Okay, previously I told that everything in HTML behaves like a box. Which box? The box model. What is the box model? This is the box model over here. Look at this. This is the center. This is the core of our box model. I told you it looks like an onion. Okay, the onion has 4 layers. Look at this. The first layer is the content, this one, and then we have the padding. Second layer, the third layer is the border. Fourth layer is the margin. Okay, you click this small icon over here. Okay, and then you're gonna click this box 1 over here. Now look, what do we have over here? We have the content over here. Look, it's getting highlighted blue over here. You can see that. See that again? There we go. And now the next layer is the padding. Look at this dash over here. That is because we didn't define any padding. No border, no margin. If we define some padding, margin, or border, then we can see the exact pixel measurement over here. Now look at this over here. Do you remember this 300 pixels over here? If you come back to the code editor, then you can see that we have 300 pixels of width. So this is the 300 pixels of width, and this is the height over here. I hope you understood the box model diagram. Now let's move on to the padding. Okay, now the padding property itself is a shorthand of 4 properties. Padding top, padding right, bottom, left. And look at this over here. Okay, the first one is the top, padding top. The second one is the padding right. Third one is the bottom, and then the last one is the left. Okay, you can also independently write padding left and then define that. Now let's experiment with our padding property practically. Okay, now let's say that we want to set some padding to our content over here. So what you're gonna write is come to the box 1 and write padding, okay? And as I told you earlier that this is the combination of 4 properties, okay? Top, right, bottom, left. If you write 10 pixels, then this 10 pixels will be automatically set to all corners, I mean all 4 sides of our content. Like this, look, we have set 10 pixels, okay? If I save it and if I come to this separate section, by clicking this small icon over here, then you're gonna set this, see this, and you're gonna hit F12 to see this developer console, okay? And then you're gonna hit this computed section over here, okay? This computed section over here. And now if I refresh F5, now you can see after clicking the box over here, you can see that how much is the width? The width is 300 pixels, okay? Because we have defined it over here. Look, the content. And look at this padding. It was dashed, dash, 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 dash. But now look what we are seeing. We are seeing 10 pixels of padding. 10 pixels here, 10 pixels here, and here as well. That's because of this property over here. But let's say that we want to independently define 4 different values. So what you're gonna do is the first one is the top, then right, bottom, left. So let's say that I want to set 20 pixels to the right side like this. To the bottom we're gonna set, let's say, 50 pixels, okay? And to the left, let's say that we want to set 23 pixels like this, okay? Control S, and now let's come back over here and you're gonna hit F5 like this. And now you're gonna see that it has refreshed. You're gonna click this, click the content over here, and now you can see that padding top is 10 pixels, which is this one over here, okay? Then 20 pixels is the right, look at this. And then 50 pixels to the bottom, which is this one over here, look. And 23 pixels to the left, look at this. And look at, if you notice carefully, then you can see that this is getting highlighted in green color. And look at this result on the left side. You can see that it is also getting highlighted green colored, which means that we can better understand how the system is working. Let's say that you don't want to work with this shorthand, okay? So what you can do is you can independently write padding top, right, bottom, left like this. Padding top or right or bottom or left. Let's say that we're gonna use with padding left, okay, like this, and let's set it to 100 pixels like this, okay? Control S. Let's come back to the preview and refresh F5. Now you're gonna click this and select the box, okay? Now you can see that we have a padding to the left of 100 pixels and it is getting highlighted in green. Look at that on the left and on our console over here. And the content itself is 300 pixels. Now let's look at some practical examples where we use this padding property. I have showed this to you earlier, but let me show that to you again, okay? Padding is used to put some gap between contents, okay? Like this nav bar over here, okay? You can see little gap over here, okay? I have used padding to put some gap in between those nav items. Like this, look. And then the padding is also used to put some gap between contents like this, look. We have a little bit of gap over here, and the gap between these buttons over here as well. I hope you understood the use case of the padding property. Now let's discuss about the border property. But first, let's look at some practical examples. We can use the border property in various ways and shapes, but for this tutorial, I'm going to show you one example. Personally, I use the border property to make borders around my buttons when I hover over them, okay? You can see this button over here, okay? If I hover over here, then you can see this border over here, okay? I made it using the border property. And this button over here as well, if I hover over here, then we can see 5 pixels of border, white in color, solid. The style is called solid. This one is the same as well. Okay, now to recreate the same thing, let's come back to CodePen and experiment, okay? And for the padding, let's set it to just 100 pixels, okay, like this. And it's gonna add 100 pixels of padding on the top, bottom, left, right, like this, look. Okay, now let's add some border, okay? Border, okay, for this tutorial, I'm gonna show you 3 inputs, okay? The first input is the size, okay? How much size do you want? Let's say that we want it to be 12 pixels, okay? 12 pixels, okay, like this. And the next one is the style. We have 3 options: solid, or we have the dashed, okay, like this, or we have the dotted like this, okay? Don't worry, I'm gonna show all of them to you. And then the last input that I'm gonna show you is the color. What color do you want the border to be? Let's say that we want this border to be black in color. You can also select red as well. Okay, I'm going to select black like this, and first let's experiment with the solid over here. Okay, I'm going to remove them like this, Control S, and you can see this border over here. Look, we have a thick black colored border over here. Okay, and if you want to make it dotted, then you can write dotted over here, Control S, and you can see we have dots around our content over here like this. Look, and let's say that you want it to be dashed. Okay, you can also write dashed like this, Control S, and it looks like this. Look at that. And if you click this small icon over here beside the delete button, and you're gonna have it live preview, you're gonna select F12, and you're gonna open the developer console, and then you're gonna drag it at the top like this and select this, compute it, and then click this, click the box, and now you can see that we have a border of 12 pixels all sides, top, right, bottom, left, like this. The padding is 100 pixels. Why? Because we have set the padding to 100 pixels over here, and we have a border of 12 pixels over here. The 12 pixel border is over here. It is highlighted in light gray color. You can see that, and it is also getting highlighted in green color, the padding. That was very quick. We are done with the border property. Now let's discuss about the margin property. If you recall, our box model is the onion. It has 4 layers, and margin is the very last layer. Look at that. The first layer is the content, first layer. Second layer is the padding. Third layer is this thin line over here. This is the border, and the fourth, the last layer is the margin over here. We're going to discuss about that in details right now. But first, let's look at some examples. Where do we even use the margin practically? Let's look at some practical examples. Okay, now I'm going to give you a practical example of the margin property. Let's have a look. Look at these two websites. Look at these two projects over here. We're going to see a side-by-side comparison. You can see that we have gap between the content and the actual window over here. But look at this over here. We have no gap between the content and the window. We can see the similar thing on the right side over here as well. And we have some gap over here. Okay, so this gap is the margin. Personally, I give the margin over here like this. And if I open the grid over here, the column grid over here, then you can see that we have this layout grid over here. And let's actually inspect how much margin do we have. Okay, we have a margin of 50 pixels. So we have 50 pixels of margin over here and 50 pixels of margin over here. Now you inspect and tell me which one looks much better, the top one or the bottom one. Definitely the bottom one. Okay, now we're going to inspect the margin property. Okay, so you come over here on the box one and come at the bottom over here and you write margin over here. Like padding, margin is also the shorthand of 4 properties: margin top, right, bottom, left, like this. Look, this is the top, right, bottom, left. You can also independently use the independent properties like margin top, bottom, margin left, or margin right, just like the padding property. Okay, now back to CodePen. Let's say that we want to add some margin of 30 pixels, 30 pixels. Okay, 30 pixels like this, Control S, and you're gonna notice that it is actually getting pushed. Our content is getting pushed from the left and the top, but actually margin is also getting added over here on the right side and at the bottom as well. Let me show you. Okay, you're gonna click this over here, this small icon over here. Okay, and it's gonna preview it live. Hit F12 and drag this section like this. Okay, and then you hit this computed section, you click this and select this box over here, and now you can see the content itself is 300 pixels. Okay, the padding we have 100 pixels. Okay, because we have defined the width 300 and padding to be 100 pixels. Okay, now let's come back over here and you can see that border is 12 pixels. Okay, because we have defined the border over here 12 pixels. And the margin, look at this margin over here. We have 30 pixels of margin. This is highlighted in brown color. Margin of 30 pixels at the top, right, bottom, and the left. Okay, look at that. Just like the padding, you can also use margin top, right, bottom, and left. Let's say that we are gonna use margin left of 100 pixels. Okay, margin left, left 100 pixels like this, Control S, and let's go back over here and you can see that we have, oh, by the way, By the way, you also need to refresh the page, F5, okay? And you're gonna click this, select this, and you can see the margin is getting added over here, just 100 pixels, just on the left side. Look at this box over here. We have margin of 100 pixels on the left, but no margin over here, just a dash over here, dash over here. I'm gonna show you a quick CSS trick right now. Get ready. It is called margin sharing. What is it? Margin sharing between two contents. Okay, let me actually come back to the HTML section and follow along with me. Okay, you're gonna create another box. Okay, dot box2 like this, tap, and over here you're gonna write box2 like this. Okay, Control S. Now pull the CSS like this. Okay, and now over here you're gonna write comma dot box2. Okay, dot box2 like this, Control S, and now you can see that we have similar styles. Similar styles are getting applied on the box1 and the box2. Okay, now let's actually reduce the padding a little bit to, let's say 20 pixels. Okay, like this, Control S, and border, let's set it to just 5 pixels. Okay, like this, Control S, and the margin left, for now just remove the margin. Okay, first of all, let's discuss about the border. Okay, Control S. If you come on the developer console, hit F5, refresh the page. Okay, and now you're gonna click this small icon over here and you're gonna inspect this one. Okay, look at this. Look, we have 300 pixels as the main content. Okay, the padding is 20 pixels. Now look at this very carefully. Look, the padding of 20 pixels is getting applied all around our content, like that. Look, and if you inspect this one, you can see that the padding is actually getting applied all around 20 pixels. So these two boxes are independent. Nobody is sharing anything. Nobody is sharing their padding spaces. And now come back to the code pen over here. Now we're gonna experiment with margin property. Okay, we're gonna keep the padding as it is, and at the bottom over here we're gonna write margin 20 pixels. Okay, initially. Oh, instead of writing the margin over here, what you're gonna do is you're gonna write it independently. Okay, so you're gonna write dot box1 over here. Okay, and over here just add margin bottom. Okay, it's gonna add margin to the bottom side because we need to add something at the middle over here. Okay, so you're gonna write margin bottom over here of, let's say that 100 pixels. Okay, there we go. And let's say that box2 over here, we need to add margin at the top. Okay, so we can see that we have a gap of 100 pixels over here. So what will happen if we add another 100 pixels? The gap will increase. Okay, watch very carefully what happens. This is the CSS trick. Okay, look at here very carefully. I'm gonna write code. I'm gonna write margin top over here. Wait a minute, there we go, 100 pixels, Control S. Now look what happens. 1 2 3 4 5 6, nothing happens. Why is that? That's because they're sharing the margin. This is 100 pixels of margin at the top, 100 pixels of margin at the bottom. So we have equal margin. That means that they're sharing the margin. If we come back to the results screen over here, hit F5, and now we're gonna inspect the elements. Okay, look at this. Wait a minute, I'm gonna select this. Oh, sorry, select this. There we go. You can see that we have a margin of 100 pixels. Okay, I'm gonna keep my mouse over here. You look at the left side. Look at the brown colored region. Okay, it is showing 100 pixels over here. But what will happen if I select this, the latter one? Look, it is also showing me a border, I mean margin of 100 pixels. Look, they are sharing that margin space over here. This is the main CSS trick. And what will happen if, let's say that I'm gonna select the margin for the box2 as 30 pixels. Okay, what will happen? It's still gonna be 100 pixels. Why is that? Let's actually inspect. Okay, come over here, hit F5. Okay, I'm gonna select this over here, and you select this, and you can see that we have a margin bottom of 100 pixels over here. And if I select this, the box2, then you can see, sorry, there we go. We have a margin of 30 pixels over here. It is actually still sharing the space. Let me show that to you again. Okay, you select the box1. Okay, you can see that it is showing all of the region. Look at this brown colored region. It is showing all of it. But if you select this one, box 2, you can see that it is just showing 30 pixels, but still it is on that region. So this is the trick of sharing margin between contents. By the way, why am I showing this to you? That is because while coding, you are going to get some unexpected behavior, calculation errors. In order to solve that error, this knowledge is also very crucial. We're done with the margin property and the shorthands. Let's start discussing the main sauce, the box sizing. Let's get started. Okay, now the box sizing property has 3 values: the border box, padding box, and the content box. You can see that over here. And by the way, I'm not gonna discuss about the padding box over here. That is because it is just used on the Firefox, and it is very less used, which means that it is quite useless. I'm gonna discuss about the content box and the border box in very details, and along with that, I'm gonna show you the difference between these two. If you can understand the difference between the border box and the content box, then what will happen is you can make pixel perfect websites. What? Pixel perfect websites. I'm going to show that to you in details along with calculations. Don't worry. Okay, now come back to CodePen over here, and on this universal selector over here, we're going to write box sizing. Okay, the default value is the content box. What? The content box. Okay, content box. This is the default value. Nothing actually happens. You can see that. And I'm actually gonna remove the box 2 from here because I'm just gonna experiment with just one box over here. Okay, come back to code CSS and remove this from here. Okay, and we're gonna set margin, not margin for now. Okay, we're gonna remove this box 2 from here. Okay, we're gonna keep just box 1. Now after adding the box sizing to content box, nothing actually happens. If you go to the developer console, then by the way, refresh. Okay, F5 and computer section, then this one, select the box over here, then you can see that we don't see any difference. We can see we have a padding, content of 300 pixels, padding 20 pixels, border 5 pixels, which is the same thing as over here. Border 5 pixels, padding 20 pixels, and width 300 pixels over here. Now look here very carefully. Okay, look at this. How much do we have over here? Let me actually zoom in a little bit. Okay, look, we have the width 300 pixels. How much? 300 pixels. Okay, if I set this to border box, now look what happens. Control S, come back over here, F5, and select this, select the content. Now look at this. What is this? From 300 pixels, it dropped to 250 pixels. Why is that? How is this possible? Okay, if you come back to the CodePen, you can see that we have a width of 300 pixels. How much? 300 pixels. Now look, we have 250 pixels over here, 20 pixels, 5 pixels. At the same time, on the right side, 20 pixels, 5 pixels. Now let's calculate. Okay, come at the very bottom over here and you write 250 pixels plus how much over here? 20 and 5. Okay, 20 plus 5. Okay, and over here 20 and 5. Okay, so 20 plus 5. If you calculate, do you know how much it's gonna be? It's gonna be 300 pixels exact. So how much of width do we have? Look, we have width of 300 pixels. We have width of exact 300 pixels over here. If you want to make a website with high accuracy, if you want to make it pixel perfect, not a pixel more, not a pixel less, exact measurement, exact, you should definitely use this box sizing border box. What happens if we don't use this? The box sizing border box. Okay, I'm gonna comment this and I'm gonna write content box over here. Okay, content box, Control S. Don't worry, we're gonna look at more illustrations and more examples. Okay, so I'm going to set it to content box, which is the default value. Okay, now let's come over here, refresh, F5. Look at this box, it has increased in size. Okay, now look, I'm gonna select this and look at this. We have 300 pixels of width, 20 pixels here, 5 pixels here, 20 pixels on the right, 5 pixels of border on the right as well. Now let's calculate what happens. Look, I'm gonna write what is the width? 300. Okay, look at this, 300 pixels width. Padding how much? 20 and 5. Okay, so plus 20 plus 5, and on the left we have 20 and 5 as well. 20 plus 5. If we calculate, then how much will this be? Okay, 25, 25, 50. Now it is gonna be 350 pixels. Look at that. You cannot make pixel perfect website right now. Why is that? That is because of this content box over here. You have planned 300 pixels for this box over here, but it is not 300 pixels anymore because of this padding, border and the margin. Okay, now it is 350 pixels. We're not going to write code anymore. We're going to see the difference between the border box and the content box. Now look at this over here. Look at these illustrations over here. What difference do you see? Nothing. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Look at this box. Look at these boxes over here. Each box is 100 pixels. Okay. We have 4 boxes, which means that in total we have a width of 400 pixels over here. Okay. And look at this content box over here. No difference. 100 pixels of box. And in total 4 box, which means 400 pixels. Now what changes the game? Now look at this. I have added padding. I have added padding. This red colored line, you can see this. This red colored gap, you see this. This is the padding, okay? And this is 15 pixels of padding on the top, right, bottom and left, okay? Now you can see that the boxes are still the same. It is 100 pixels each. No more, no less, okay? And this 4 boxes calculates to 400 pixels. And look at this over here. How did these boxes increase in size even after adding 15 pixels of padding on the content box, which is the default value, okay? So now look, if we add padding top, right, bottom, left of 15 pixels, okay? 15 here, 15 here, 15 here, 15 here, okay? Look at the width. We're just calculating the width, okay? 15 and 15. How much? 30. And the 100 pixels of original width. So total 130 pixels. This is how the box is getting bigger, okay? And if you calculate the 4 boxes, the width is now 520 pixels, not 400 pixels anymore. You initially planned that you want to make your website to be 400 pixels, but now it is getting 520 pixels, which means that this is a very big miscalculation. And if you make miscalculations, you cannot make your website responsive anymore. Now look, what's the difference? The difference is the padding is getting applied inside on the border box, where the padding is getting applied inside so that it can retain its original size of 100 pixels. But on the default value, the content box, what happens is the padding is getting applied outside. It is increasing in size. And what is this doing? It is decreasing in size so that it can retain the original property of 100 pixels. Okay, so this is the 400 in total, which is as you planned, and this is not as you planned. So if you want to make pixel perfect accurate websites, always definitely use the content box. Okay, so here's the trick. How we can achieve that. You're gonna select this star, which is the universal selector, and over here you're gonna write box sizing content box. There we go. Very simple solution, just one line solution to make pixel perfect websites. So we're done with the tutorial. If you like the video, give a like, share it with a friend, and feel free to subscribe. Till then, take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.